this actually. I think this was right at the beginning of the interview, but I'm kind of interested in terms of your perceptions of the phenomenon now. Have they changed in any real way in terms of, you know, when you were a young man perhaps you believed this, and now as an older individual you believe this? Has it been fluid, or has it just been sudden realisations, or a combination?
No, I mean, when I first started, there wasn't the information out there like there is now.
Yeah.
There was a few specialist handmade magazines and a few books. There wasn't a lot.
Right.
And you couldn't just go online and buy them.
No.
There was no way of really getting access to them.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that aliens were coming from A to B.
Right. Okay.
I read Chariots of the Gods and I thought,
that explains it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I was fortunate enough to meet Eric von Daniken in the 90s.
Mm.
And whilst I don't dismiss his theory, some of his individual claims, I thought, well, that don't add up. But the theory overall, I still like.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rule it out. As for aliens visiting Earth, over the years, it slowly changed. It didn't seem to make sense to me anymore. And
that was based on your field research?
Yeah, field research, interviews, reading, I mean, call it what you will. And it changed over a matter of time because people just look at the phenomena day to day.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'm fortunate to be involved in such a long time.
Were there any particular authors who had, let's say, an influence in terms of your thinking at this time?
Yeah, I would say John Keel.
John Keel, okay.
Jacques Vallée.
Jacques Vallée, yeah. And they're quite similar in some respects.
They are indeed, yeah. And whilst I mix with people who were adamant that were extraterrestrials, like Bud, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when I met Travis Walton, I said to Travis, have you thought about this as an explanation, as an alternative? He said, no, I haven't, Philip, thank you.
Yeah.
He still kept
an open
mind in that respect.
Yeah.
And it just changed slowly over time. But I've always said I could well be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not arrogant enough to say I am right and you must believe me.
Right.
Somebody could call me a con man. I said, why am I a con man? Well, you said in such and such that you thought they were extraterrestrials. I said, well, yeah, that's years ago.
Yeah, you're entitled to change your opinion.
You know, that was then.
Yeah.
This is now.
So, for example, with let's say Paul Devereaux and his ideas about plasma and intelligences, etc. Would you say that certain types of fields could explain this phenomenon? That it's almost people. Maybe there's some kind of electromagnetic field, and a person then, if they walk into that field, that they begin to hallucinate, or they as a physiological.
Well, I wouldn't call it an hallucination. I don't really have a terminology for it. I think it's much more than that. You know,
is there an interaction in terms of consciousness, or is it just one way? Is it just how the mind?
I think it's one way. It just affects your consciousness, and then the nature of the experience and the content of it. Yeah. Is then reflected in your own psyche, your own world.
And so you could project, let's say, a cultural or religious belief.
Absolutely, yeah.
What you see.
And that would explain, in some respects, why we've had the sightings of strange beings, if you like, for want of another thing, down the centuries.
Yes, but
they've all been interpreted
differently. But then again, that they are fairly consistent in terms of what you said that they were.
And if we had enough information, when we talked about Dr. Thomas Eddie Bullard, where there is parameters. Forget the information, but the parameters. And for example, there was a folklore story that David Clark told me. Right. Whereas the master is on his horse going home one night, and his servants behind him on foot. And in the end, he gets fed up. Nearly home. He says, "Right, I'm gonna trot off. You tag on behind me." Right. Anyway, the servant turns up X amount of hours late, so he gives him a roasting for it. He says, "Master, I was taken by the fairies." Right. Where? To this fairy mound. Well, where is it? Go down there. So come on. Of course, it's not there anymore. Right. And of course, the fairy mound was illuminated by lanterns, but there was no lanterns. Right. Okay. So there was missing time. You know. Okay. But you tell that story today, and you would class it probably as an alien abduction.
You would get a different interpretation, perhaps, with that.
So, you know, just my opinions and my thoughts have changed down there, and they may well change again. Yeah. Who knows? You can't see.
So, in a sense, you would say perhaps then that the question about governments disclosing ET is perhaps a redundant question, because you think perhaps maybe that there are better explanations for the phenomenon.
Yeah, I don't think any government would hide the fact. Yeah. that there's ET there. For example, when Bill Clinton was president, they had the Martian meteorite, and it had a microfossil allegedly in it. I know it's not ET with a ray gun, but it's still life, and he didn't dismiss it out of hand.
No.
And I think they were right, because we had the astronomer Fred Hoyle years before, write a book, I think he called it The Intelligent Universe, and he predicted these microfossils would be everywhere. You know, i.e. life is life. You know?
I think he was quite open to the panspermia theory.
But again, put yourself in there. Say, if you can imagine yourself that you could announce that we're being visited. A lot of politicians like to cement their place in history.
So that
whatever means.
That would be a very good means of cementing your place.
It's the ultimate, isn't it? You know. So, but not only that, I can't see a reason why they would cover it up. Year after year after year, decade after decade after decade. I can't. I just can't see a reason why that would happen. Right. I may be wrong. It might be staring me in the face.
So you think that perhaps this is it almost a dead end, or is it just that it's almost that we want to try and make this phenomenon physical, physicalise it in order to understand it better?
Oh, absolutely. We always want to believe in something. Even to say I'm an atheist is still a belief.
Of course,
You know, but if you go look at our own Ministry of Defence, they released a report called the Condon Report.
Right.
And in there it talks about these plasmas. And they are interested in it from A, can it interfere with aircraft navigation and things like that?
Right.
B, can we harness its power? Power source. I don't mean a weapon. I'm talking about you know.
Of course.
You know, why have the Chinese build a nuclear power station if we could harness this kind of thing?
And if it's self-illuminating, then that would seem to suggest that there is some type of power which could be harnessed.
So, you know, why not?
So what's your opinions on crop circles then?
They're all fake.
Right, okay. I wouldn't go as that far. I would say 99%.
I'd say all fake.
Right, okay. Explain a little bit. I don't want to...
I mean, again, you know, it just don't make any sense to me. I mean, I know some of the guys that have faked them. I've seen them fake them. One incident was they did a fake down near Leicester.
Right.
Didn't tell anybody what they did. They filmed themselves.
Right.
And they sat back, didn't say anything till it was discovered, and they all wandered around saying, "Yeah, it's great, it's fantastic." They said, "It's not. It's all the film." You know. But people want to believe in it for whatever reason.
Because I'm just thinking about, from an historical perspective, with the fairy rings and.
I think they're a totally different thing. I think they're a totally different thing. A fairy rings, I've seen myself. Nothing like the crop circles.
What about the famous case of the devil mower who...
well, that's a folklore thing. Okay. Yeah, it's a woodcut, isn't it?
It is a woodcut, yeah. Is that a crop circle?
Quite possibly. Okay. Quite possibly. But we also have...
So perhaps what you're talking about here is the pictograms and the complex pictograms.
Yeah, I mean, we had an incident, again, I'm not sure if it was the 60s or the 70s, in, I think it was Australia, Tully. Australia, New Zealand, one of those two. But they saw these like sort of acorn-shaped things taken off. And they left swirls in the crop.
Right.
And they weren't like storm damage.
Yeah.
I've seen storm damage. Yeah. So there is a precedent. Not only that, Paul Fuller, who used to be part of BUFORA, as a job was a statistician.
Right.
So what he did, he compiled a questionnaire for a lot of the farms in the areas where the crop circles have been reported, and you know, the Western England, South West. And he found out that they did get reports going back down the years, but they were nothing complicated. They were all simple circles.
Yes. You see, this is...
And there wasn't a lot, there was the occasional
one.
So you're saying those simple circles are the natural, or non-human?
No, I think they're just related. Some related to the for weather of some description.
But the complex glyphs are the man-made ones.
Oh yeah. And
I think I would subscribe to that idea.
Yeah, and along came Doug and Dave, who did play a part in it.
Yeah.
You know, people say, oh, they were government. No, they weren't. They were two pranksters.
Yeah.
And I know other guys who are artists.
Yeah.
And are highly intelligent. And they say, well, there's symbolism in this formation.
Yeah.
Yes, he's drawn it out on his graph first. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Same guy was also hired by Channel 4 to make the crop circle of the Big Brother eye.
Right, yeah.
You know, so they know what they're doing, and it's spread. But I don't get pay. I went down to look at some in the 80s and didn't. That was it. You know, never paid much attention to them since.
Okay, that's really when they started to developing, didn't they? And sort of getting more complex.
By the way, when they were in the field in Wiltshire, just below the White Horse at Westbury.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
And we climbed over the fence, a colleague and I, and just legged it in. You know, we're taking photographs and measurements, and this huge great car pulled up at the gate.
Right.
And she says, "Oh, Mr. Sabak, is everything all right?" And I just says, "Yeah, I've got a reporter here." All right, and off she went.
Right.
What the hell Mr. Sabak was, I have no idea.
Right.
But she thought it was me.
Right.
And I says to my pal then, Roger Blackburn, Christ's sake, get these photographs done, let's get out of it, you know. Of course you realise I'm not Mr. Sandbag. We couldn't find the farmhouse to ask permission. So I just says, "Oh, come on, we've driven all this way to turn around and go back, let's get over the fence," you know what I mean? Oh, look at me, it was funny. So if I ever get, you know, I'm Mr. Sandbag, he must look like me at some point.
Right. So, right from the beginning with the crop circle phenomenon, was you fairly convinced that you were probably dealing with a hoax?
Yeah, I mean, because again, if they wanted to put some kind of intelligence behind it, well, it doesn't make any sense.
Did you have any cases of where there were impressions left after people had said that they'd seen some type of objects land?
No.
So there was never that. You never found that correlation in your data.
At all. No.
Right.
I don't pay no mind. If people want to believe in it, and I may well be wrong, that's fine.
Did you ever find any? Were there any cases that you ever studied there where there were any kind of physical marks, not necessarily crop circles, but any kind of physical marks?
Yeah. I mean, there are a number of physical landing cases, mainly researched by Ted Phillips in the States. He's got a database of them.
Right.
And there's I haven't been there personally, but there was a place called Delphos in Kansas where an object was seen and the circle was left, not in the crop, in the soil, and they took soil samples and all that. It's the most puzzling case, it really is. Yeah. We had a sighting over near Wakefield. Yeah. Mark and I went to look at it. And these lights have been, this sort of oval object with two bright lights in the middle had been seen over the field. Yeah. And we found a number of marks in the field that started in the middle of the field and didn't make it to the end. Right. But whether there was a natural explanation for it or not, we weren't sure because it was a ploughed field. Yeah, and I guess it's maybe difficult to work out where the actual object was. We took photographs of it and we measured it and things like that, just in case. Yeah. It was inconclusive, to say the least. Yeah. But then we have like the landing at Normanton, but exactly the opposite happened. I believe these people 100%, but yet there wasn't a blade of grass bent in that field where that thing was supposed to be. Right. How does that happen? I don't know. Yeah. So those that claim that being visited in physical spaceships. In the Normanton case, was you there like within 48 hours of? Yeah, and it was just by luck. Yeah. That we'd had a piece in the local paper, and it gave my phone number. Yeah. Otherwise, we would never have known. She saw it and rang us. You know? I seem to recall one of the UFO conferences. Somebody else mentioned that they'd seen a UFO in Normanton. I think they described it as like 300 foot. No, this is just small. No, it's just so. No, I mean that's a totally different case, but. Is Normanton a hotspot? No, not at all. Not at all. It's just the next town down from here. Right, okay. It was a mining area at the time, and it's all gone now. Yeah. You know, in fact, the lady's husband, the reason he wasn't there because he was at work down the pit. Right. He works at Prince of Wales, just down here. I mean, are there many UFOs reported in this area? Would you say? No, very few. Very few. It's a built-up area. Right. So you find them more out on the moors then? Yeah, for whatever reason, you know, that's just the way it is. But things come from all directions. Yeah. They really do, and sometimes the most unexpected things happen. Right. Have you got any questions? Yeah, I'd just like to ask you about the idea of portals and these window areas. People use the word portals
to describe the regions where, I think John Keel used the word window areas, didn't he, to refer to these regions. So have you ever looked at why the UFOs would seem to predominantly, or preferably maybe, be focused in these areas?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the statistics aside, as far as who's in there to report them might skew the data, but it does seem to you, in your opinion, that they do actually have.
Oh, absolutely. I think there are, call it window areas, call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But there are locations around the world where you may not always have a lot of sightings, but you will always have sightings in those areas. And not just UFOs, but a whole mixture of things. And they will happen year in, year out. Sometimes more than others, for whatever reason.
Do you see that it fluctuates over time periods?
Yeah,
as well?
it does. Yeah.
Because like, I mean, Carlton Moor, for example, now doesn't appear to anywhere near as active as it was when you...
Yeah, I mean, there was a time with stuff coming from that area, we just couldn't cope. I mean, literally. And why that is... But, having said that, at the same time, you have the Hessdalen phenomena happening in Norway.
Yeah,
exactly the same time period.
Yeah.
You know, and they were fortunate enough to get help from the university and the military.
Yeah.
And now there's a permanent monitoring station there. We weren't able to do that. And if you look at other places around the world, and if you look at the light phenomena, it also has its own names. Like you've got the Marfa lights, Min lights in Australia, and so on and so forth. In Russia, they call these zones M zone, or you call it they sometimes call it an anomalous zone. But it's the same thing. It's one of these areas. Of course, it's in Russia. It's got to be that bit bigger. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where all kind of things happen, but not just as a one-off, year in, year out. There's peaks and troughs with it, but it just does. And that would tend to support a geological argument. When the Earth is under stress, that stress goes up and down, it gives off these luminosities, and so on. That's just one idea. You know, the problem with Britain is we live in such a small country. You can look at the map and you can pick out anything you want and say, well, it's near a river, or it's near whatever. You know, it's difficult to say. No. But one thing you can say for certain is you always have a residue of reports coming from these areas down the years.
Yeah, because I think you've been quite interested, haven't you, Anthony, in terms of geology and particularly...
Yeah, kind of tying into the geological faulting. For example, because Carlton Moor is actually at the southern end of the North Craven Fault.
That's right, yeah.
Which stretches up towards Settle.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things, one of the difficult things about correlating it to a geological fault is the fact that faults are kind of everywhere in certain regions, and so it's not easy to
well, we know, for example, that earthquake lights are accepted. You know, so these are like the cousins of earthquake lights, if you want. Yeah. That's the idea anyway. But the difference being these are electrically charged, and if you get too close to them, they can scramble your brains basically. Yeah. And there are other areas that don't produce lights, but you still get the same effect. And man-made ones like microwave repeaters, which there's one on Carlton Moor, mobile phone masts, and so on. And if you are, what Albert Budden calls it, hypersensitive to these effects, in other words, you're allergic to them, then hey presto.
What do you think of, the people who engage within what they call CSETI or C5, they go into the field to specifically to interact with these light forms, and have you been involved with any groups doing that? Have you? No,
I mean we've tried to interact with them ourselves, and otherwise just clap eyes on them. Yeah. But I've met some at Laughlin and at the conference there, but I don't put any credit. I see some people when they see these lights, they implant intelligence on it. They think it was moving in an intelligent way. Why the hell do you know?
How can you determine that? Yeah.
You know, what is intelligence anyway? Yeah. You know, it seemed to it knew what it was doing.
Yeah, I think Paul Dever doesn't he suggest that sometimes you'll see a change in behaviour. Well, even like for example, a cigar-shaped object following a car. If it's an electrical phenomenon, you'd expect it to follow.
We've had that on Carlton Moor with a ball of light either side of the car.
So might choose to follow the path of his least resistance just because it's a physical phenomenon.
Like in Hessdalen, they saw the lights and they fired a laser beam at it. The light was pulsing. Right. And after they fired the laser at it, the rate of pulse changed.
Well, they put an energy into the phenomenon with the laser.
So whether it would have happened anyway, you don't know.
Yeah.
but we tend to put intelligence on it. It's like, you know, we see patterns in the sky and our brain fills in the gaps and we'll make faces out of them and things like that, you know. But who knows? You know, who knows? But it's a fascinating area of study, and it's one you can do yourself. You don't need to be a PhD. You know, it's one you can get involved in, and you can do field research, or you can sit in the library or online, and you've got a combination.
So, if you were going to give a message to some new people who wanted to get into this, studying this phenomena, what would be your direction to them? What
I would say ignore everybody and do what you think is right, and by all means listen to people, because listening is an art. It really is. I'll give you an example. I used to be a shop steward, and the head of HR was a huge, great guy. He always talked very softly. And I asked him why he talked so softly. He says, well, if you want to hear what I'm saying, you'll listen then, won't you? You know, and I always remember that. By all means listen, but it don't mean you have to agree with everything. And make up your own mind. You know, there's no reason why you can't do that. And it doesn't matter if other people don't agree with you. All I would say is don't get involved in any arguing or falling out or slagging people off.
Well, it becomes a waste of energy, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You're diverting your attention from the research, really.
And you usually find that with most people, if you're polite to them and you're respectful, they'll cooperate with you. You know, it's as simple as that. But you see, it should be a lot easier because there aren't the UFO groups now. There isn't the egos. I'm Mr. President of this and I'm that. I mean, I've been there, I've done it. You know. But instead, you have Facebook groups. Which is just the same thing that's online, and they do exactly the same thing and fall out with each other. You know. Which it's sad, really, but that's just a fact of life. But I would openly encourage this. There's something in this subject for everybody, no matter what. You know, even if you're highly sceptical. We had a guy in our early days called Nick, and he was hugely sceptical, but he sometimes kept your feet on the ground. You know, and he made you question things rather than just jumping in head first and saying, "Oh, I believe this," you know. And have you thought about this? Have you checked that? Oh, I hadn't. Oh, you were right, Nick. You know. So I would highly recommend it.
Did you ever meet the researcher? Is it Paul Devereaux?
I've met Paul several times.
And how did you find him? I mean,
I found him a lovely fellow.
Because he is, in some respects, I guess he's equivalent. The UK's equivalent to Jacques Vallée, isn't he?
Well, he's an academic. But yeah, I mean, I took Paul up to the Dales to interview Tony Dodd. Because Paul was writing his book. He knew of Tony's sightings and his photographs. I introduced them and I took him up to do the interview. He stayed with me. And we had him at a couple of our conferences. One of the fascinating things, I had Paul Devereaux in one chair in my house and Bud Hopkins in the other, who were totally opposite each other. But it never got out of hand. I just sat there and didn't say a word. I just supplied them with cups of tea and coffee.
Having that respect for each other's ideas and thoughts, and you can learn from their experiences.
And there was no way on earth they were going to agree with each other. But it was fascinating to just sit and listen to it. And I remember Jacques Vallée saying he was at some conference, they were talking about underground alien bases, and all he said was, "Can I just ask one question?" They said, "Yeah." He said, "Who takes out the trash?" And walked away, you know. That kind of summed it all up. You know, I was at a conference and this fellow on about these creatures that live underground. He says, "They're everywhere, Philip." I said, "Is that right?" "Oh yeah, there's some at, you know, Sowerby Bridge, I think he said." I said, "Well, come on then. My car's outside. I've got a camera here. Let's get off." Well, you know. Well, you know.
It's one thing saying it, but actually proving it is another thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. Well, let's go and see them. You know.
Do you see ufology then as being? I mean, because the views of whether it's just a simple ETH, the spiritual kind of thing, or something else. Do you think one of the problems might well be that we've kind of partitioned into these different areas rather than cross?
Well, Bud was a prime example. He used to call it stupid thinking.
Stupid thinking.
That's what he called it. That was his phrase for it. And he wouldn't have it that you know, you had to have these partitions. He would not have it. But when you mention the extraterrestrial hypothesis, Hilary Evans, he said of it that it's a tin can tied to a cat's tail. That's the way he phrased it. In other words, we've been chasing the wrong thing right from day one. You know, and he had no time for it.
Because isn't there? I forget the name of the researcher, but I was reading. I forget the guy's name now. Anyway, Kenneth Arnold actually towards later on in his years, he came to the idea that the same idea that the phenomena was actually a life form or an entity.
Trevor Constable.
Is it Constable? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, Kenneth Arnold came to that idea later on.
Yeah, I mean, what Constable did, he took some infrared photographs just of the sky, and these blobs appeared on it.
Yeah.
And he thought that these were life forms that lived in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That we hadn't been, modern science hadn't yet recognised, and they were what the UFOs were.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting theory for a while.
Well, I was interested, I'm fascinated by it. What I'm fascinated by was that is about how they dealt with people, other researchers with their own ideas. They had to be so careful about how they pitched their ideas to other people because of how they were treated at the time.
Well,
it's fascinating how the ideas just were not received.
Sometimes when you go to conferences, the lectures are great, but it's afterwards that is, from my point of view, is more interesting when you sit down and you talk to people.
The researchers,
that's far more interesting than the actual lecture they've presented in the first place.
Yeah.
And you sometimes learn a lot more from it. That's why if I'm at a conference, I'm willing to talk to anybody and give up my time because I know I used to do the same, and I know how much I used to appreciate it. But you do learn a lot more that way. And I'd encourage people to go to the conferences. It's a way of finding out, and you can't ask a computer a question. You can pump in Google and it'll give you all these, but you can't say, "Excuse me, sir, what do you think of this?" or "What was that you said?"
Yeah.
It's a way of doing it. But but again, we look at the subject. There's all these different ideas have come and gone down the years, and there'll be something different.
Yeah.
There will be something different.
You see, I know from your conferences that you put on, Anthony, that they're actually quite diverse. It's not necessarily that you're subscribing to one idea or one theory. You're actually looking at. You may have themed conferences, but every year there's always something different. So
Yes, and ultimately it's because I don't know what the answer is. So
I used to loosely theme them, but there were times I had everybody. I mean, we had Richard Lawrence from the Arthurius Society,
right?
And I thought they'd stone him. They didn't.
Right.
He went down, great.
Right.
John Keel. We had John Keel.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a huge disappointment when I met him. I love his books, but he was a huge disappointment.
Why was that then?
He was just a boring little bugger, And
so he was a better writer than.
Oh yeah. And then I won't mention any names, but there's a chap I wanted to meet in America because I've read some of his books. And he was great round the dinner table. When he got up on the stage, I thought, this fella's off his head. This is nothing like I've read, and I just couldn't believe it was the same man.
Did you think he was just nervous or?
Not at all. He was a seasoned lecturer and broadcaster. Right. I'm not going to mention any names, but it was again a disappointment. But that's just the way it goes. But I was able to ask him questions, and I was quite happy to do that.
Yeah. So on a one-to-one, he was okay. But
he was a great storyteller.
Right.
And I'm glad I met him. He's one of the people I looked at the list of people speaking that day, and he was the only one I wanted to listen to.
Right.
No disrespect to the others, I'd heard him.
Yeah. You read his books, and
I thought, that's a shame, isn't it? It's a real shame. But that's just the way it goes.
I mean, do you have? It's probably difficult, but I guess, do you have one favourite researcher which stands out?
No, there's a mixture of them, really. Just a mixture of them. And I'm grateful that I've been able to meet the people I have done.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily agree with them.
Yeah.
But that's just life.
Yeah.
We don't all support the same football team, do we?
No, we don't. No, that's very true.
So do you have any hobbies outside of ufology?
Now, not really, apart from the grandchildren. But one of my hobbies used to be photography. It came in quite useful because when Graham and Mark and I and whoever were out in the field, I was the only one with a camera. So that's why we've got a record of some of the things we did. It's because there was no digital cameras in those days. So I used to do a lot of photography and astronomy. I loved astronomy. I still take a passing interest in it. I was pleased I met a cosmonaut out in San Marino who'd been on the Mir space station. I went to a lecture by Buzz Aldrin. I didn't meet him, but he lectured here in Pontefract.
Right.
Yeah. And it was an interesting lecture because his final parting words were, for those that don't believe we landed on the moon, go and ask the Russians. That was it, put that in comments, you know. But it was nice that he came to a little old town like Pontefract, you know. So, again, were it not for this subject, I'd probably never got that opportunity. So, yeah.
Right, I'm just trying to think. Is there any last things that you would like to just share before we...
No, I'd just encourage anyone who wants or is thinking about wanting to get involved just to take the plunge.
Yeah.
You know, and dive in and make up your own mind. Simple as that.
Basically do what we're doing, is just grab a camera and start talking to people, interviewing people, and do your own field research.
And if you can attend a conference, go. It is enjoyable.
Yeah.
And read as much as you can. You know, you see the books behind me. I've read most of them. Yeah. And more down the years. You know, and not everything's on the internet. No. You want to do a bit of field research, go and do it. Yeah. There's plenty of people who help you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure, mate. My pleasure.
Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Great interviewing you. Thank you.
Thanks. This main camera is on both of you, so it's a nice kind of like group kind of interview.
Yeah, that's great.
This one's primarily on Philip's chair.
Actually, is it okay if I just go to the toilet before we...
Of course it is, mate. Straight top of the stairs.
Right, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I was actually I was in touch with, trying to make contact with David, I forgot his name now, from Sheffield Uni. Clark, yeah. Because I'd been, what it was, I've been out once, Sky Watch and seen something, and I've been out with David Griffin. We'd been over Todmorden Moor, actually, of all places, and I saw like a dozen or so things, and I'm looking at them, seeing this described like Deborah describes as earth lights. Yeah. So I wanted to find out. Because I've been reading about his Pennine, the Pennine
Project Pennine.
Yeah, because I asked him. I think did he ask you this? I can't remember whether it was if anybody ever published the final report for that.
No, never. I think he did a small thing, but you know, you might have been talking 20 or 30 copies if you're lucky.
Yeah, because he told me that the other thing that ever got published was in Devereux's book.
Yeah, no, I don't think there was any official publishing. He might have done a few photocopies for people, but that was it.
Yeah. Was this how it kind of worked? It was like disseminated amongst kind of just like
well, I may have had one at one point, but I can't remember having one. But then we had so much stuff, and I remember going out on a few interviews with David and things like that, and passing stuff on to him.
Yeah, he expressed an interest in he expressed an interest in my interest, as in because it'd be nice to keep in touch with somebody. Well, from a perspective of me looking at this objectively from Earthlight's perspective, as a natural phenomena perspective, who's interested in that, isn't he? So one thing I'd like to discuss actually with it later is that aspect between.
I've no doubt in it.
How? What's that? Sorry.
I've no doubt in it.
Yeah. How do you like? To feel about how some people will approach it from the ETH perspective, whereas some people are kind of shy away from that. I'm guessing that's what Clark does, isn't he? Maybe it's
David's no time for aliens, extraterrestrials, or anything of that nature. But he don't just dismiss it out of hand. He'll actually explain to you why he's come to that conclusion.
Because I was actually surprised in reading that Earthlight Revelation about how he was working so closely with you all the time. You're all this network of because Rodney Howarth is no, you know Rodney, don't you?
Rodney were here all the week.
Is he?
Yeah, he's poorly at the moment.
Is he? Oh, I've not seen him for a few weeks. We used to keep in touch quite often. He's come over to my house a few times, well, the old house a few times. But it was kind of nice to hear about his stories about how you guys were all doing conferences like 20 years before I even started thinking about it.
That's one of them. One of the early ones. I think that's 84, 85.
That was Graham.
Yours truly, it's Graham, Mark, Bertzel.
That's Mark, I don't think I've seen a photograph.
Yeah, that's Mark.
It was quite a happening place, wasn't it? Ufology.
We had great fun. You know, yes, we took it seriously, and we were convinced, rightly or wrongly, that certainly in and around the Skipton area, in the moors and dales there, that we would be able to confront the phenomena head on.
Right.
Because it was there in great abundance.
Yeah, still is, apparently.
And I got a brief glimpse of it,
right,
which I'll gladly tell you about.
Yeah,
but to get close to it was impossible, as far as we were concerned. We tried,
right,
and we even spent a week in a caravan.
I saw the photographs of you for Calton Moor.
And all we saw was the storm clouds every morning, even though it was summer, you know.
Right.
And lots of funny stuff happened, you know.
I'd love to hear about that, actually. I've got there quite a lot, actually, Calton Moor.
I'll tell you the story. Well, in the first night we were there, we used to use the lay-by, you know where it is,
yeah.
and we just put the caravan in there.
Yeah.
We're all stood outside, and as you know, it slopes away, does the land, and we sees this light zigzagging up. I'm thinking, who the hell? When you were a person, I think, who the hell is it? Of course, there's a bloke with a shotgun.
Right.
He was gamekeeper. The lay-by is actually on private land.
Oh, is it? Right.
Or it was then.
Right.
And he thought we were animal rights activists because we were coming up to August the 7th for the grouse shooting.
Right.
And he's there with a sodding shotgun.
Right.
And the landowner was an old woman, so we had to drive round and down and find this old lass's house and ask her permission. And she thought we were off her head. When we told her what we were doing.
Yeah.
But she just said, yeah, all right. And that was just one of many weird, but the serious side of it was people came out of the woodwork from all over to report their sightings to us. That was, one of the aims of it as well.
So that would give you exposure for people to actually see what you were doing and that you're interested and there's someone to come to.
And one of the most peculiar stories was a retired couple, lived in the area a long time, but they used to go. In those days, there wasn't a local supermarket where they lived, so they'd take up this particular road. Coming back one night, he says, "Oh, look at that! They've built a new factory." And they described this factory like this with all the lights on it. Of course, the next time they went shopping, come back the same way. There was no factory there at all. You couldn't build a new factory overnight. You know what I mean? And they had no explanation for it whatsoever. And when you talk about the paranormal, Mark and we got a report from, I think it was Craycoe Village. It's where the Calendar Girls started, And when we went, the part we went to, there was no numbers. We're looking for number whatever. There's no numbers on the doors. It's just a smattering of cottages, and it's getting dark. So I said, well, just knock on the door and ask them if they know who this person is. And we knocked on the door and said, you know where Mr. So-and-so lives? He said, oh yeah, it's that house over there. And he said, have you come about the ghost dog? What ghost dog? So these two red lights used to float down through the village, and of course they were the red eyes of the ghost dog.
Right.
So once you started digging a little bit deeper, either by accident or on purpose, you found all this other stuff as well,
material,
which goes back
many hundreds of years.
Exactly. Which is where David Clarke comes in as a historian, a folklorist, and what have you. And fascinating stuff.
It's a very interesting area, Skipton. It's like I feel privileged to come from there actually, because I don't think I'd be interested in the subject if it wasn't for Tony Dodd.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tony confronted it up close and personal. There's no doubt about it.
It was like given what he wrote in his book regarding his contact experiences, and because he was kind of. Was he criticised heavily at that point?
No, because he kept it quiet while he was in the force.
Right, so it was when he retired he started
there was only a few of us knew, certain things.
Oh, so you did come...
but it was not to be made public for obvious reasons.
Yeah, makes sense.
And, there's no doubt that Tony did get it up close and personal. And he was a conduit for a lot of things, because he was the local Bobby on the beat, although he was a sergeant, he wasn't on the beat as such.
Yeah. What was his perception about this phenomenon then? Was it that it's extraterrestrial?
Oh yeah, no doubt in the end. Yeah. But whatever anybody's perspective is on it, and I didn't always get on with Tony because he were a policeman that were never off duty.
Right.
And as he pointed out one night when I was at his house and I got a bald tyre on my car, but he did see the phenomena without a shadow of a doubt. And I took Paul Devereaux up there to interview him.
You did? Cool.
Yeah. Paul came to my house and I bunged him in the car, and we'd already arranged it with Tony, of course, and took him up there.
Interesting. Shall we make a start?
Yeah, let's... Okay, so...
You're on that camera, so you can use...
is it switched on now? Exactly.
Yeah, it's recording. I've already set them up.
Alright, okay, great.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're going to conduct an interview with Philip Mantle, and we're going to look at his life's work, and we're going to look at his perceptions on the phenomenon and in terms of UFOs.